Welcome to the Vault Excel. Thank you for joining me. I have two movie suggestions for this weekend. The first movie suggestion is What Comes Around. It's a very interesting thriller. I think most of you will enjoy the content. It is free on Hulu. And the second movie suggestion, also on Hulu, is Femme, Femme. It is a movie about a guy who entertains as a drag queen, and he is viciously attacked by some homophobic males, and I'll let it spin from there. But it's a very good movie called Femme. And my other suggestion is What Comes Around. Both are now playing free on the Hulu app. If you have Hulu, feel free to go to my community page to check out the said movies. Thank you so much for your time. New information coming out of Springfield, Illinois. Sheriff Jack Campbell has decided to resign. We're going to get into that information. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $sign Big Angie 129 Cash App.
Stepping down, Sheriff Jack Campbell announcing his retirement today. Now, there have been growing calls for his resignation in the wake of the shooting of Sonia Massey. She was shot and killed inside her home by a sheriff's deputy after calling 911 for help. That deputy, Sean Grayson, has been fired and charged with her murder. In a statement, Sheriff Campbell says despite the former deputy being in custody, quote, "Some in our community want me to pay the price for that person's actions," adding he, his family, and deputies have been threatened. The sheriff adds everyone needs to make sure what happened to Massey doesn't happen again, which he says has been his mission from day one, but the, quote, political climate has made it impossible for him to serve his role. He says, quote, "Some individuals would rather see our community divided and in turmoil than allow me to continue serving as sheriff. His last day will be August 31st. Many, including our governor, say the sheriff ignored a number of red flags when hiring Grayson, who worked with 6 different departments over a 4-year span and was charged with 2 DUIs. After the first one, he was discharged from the military.
All righty.
IT issues while trying to run your business.
Sorry about that. Fox 32 Chicago is the source. Hello, Susan. Thank you for joining me. Well, it's so interesting when people say they don't want to step down from a position. You're entitled to your opinion. If you think he should have stayed, not stayed. For the past, couple weeks, he said he was not going to resign. And now all of a sudden, because of the political climate. Now, he was just talking in response to the governor getting involved with his public opinion. I think that's possibly why he decided to resign, because now the governor has his say. He doesn't think that Sheriff Campbell should be in office in that position. And that's the worst person you want against you is the governor. Now he's talking about threats. He's been threatened, family threatened, deputies threatened. It's not worth his health, so on and so forth. But you were adamant about staying. You were adamant about staying. Now, I do not condone anyone threatening the sheriff or deputies, because yes, they were not the ones who pulled the trigger. But sir, you are the one who hired Grayson. So that is a problem for many people. That is a problem. You hired him. And you basically have been downplaying the hiring, vetting of Mr. Grayson. And that's a problem for many as well. Because you can't say we failed her, sorry for the loss of Sonia Massey, but then people ask you, well, what could you have done better? Or what could you have done differently? You're basically saying, well, there's nothing I could have done differently. But that's a lie. You hired somebody with a criminal background. And that makes no sense to hire someone to be a cop, to police the streets and citizens that already has a criminal record, okay? Whether he's a great guy that likes to drink and drive, it doesn't matter. He's going into the academy, the training, flawed. Not flawed with a, half-baked ass attitude or whatever, because we know people are flawed regardless of whatever positions they try to get into or go into. The point is, he has a criminal record. So that's separate. And you knew that, and you've made excuses for that, and you still made excuses, still making excuses. I don't think I'd have done anything differently. You were asked by a reporter. Basically you're saying, well, what could I have done? Well, you could have not have hired him. That's it. So you can't say you're sorry for this woman being murdered. Oh, I didn't do it. I'm not the one that shot her. Oh, but I'm the one that hired him knowing he had a criminal record. And as I said before in my commentary, if you're willing to go out on a limb and say him having a DUI was no big deal in him training for the deputy position or police academy, however you word it, then you're not the same person that would care about his work history, because you can't have one without the other. And basically you said that as well in the interview. I didn't request his work history. And I guess they didn't volunteer it either. But what did I say about that? The police department, wherever he worked, they don't have to volunteer anything because they don't even know where he's going to apply for work. It's not their position to know where he's going to apply for a job. Once he walks out of their door, they're done with him. That's any deputy or police officer. When they walk out, fired or leave, resign, whatever, they're on their own. So wherever they go to apply for work, that's up to the new place to go to the old place to request the work history. So you're basically saying you just took it at face value. He wrote down on a sheet of paper, I used to work for Pawnee. I used to work for Auburn Police Department. I used to work for the Mickey Mouse Play Club. He gave a reference of a former deputy, chief deputy. He just so happened to be dating that deputy's daughter. You went on a limb, let him come in, and look where we are now. And yes, we get it. For the 18th time, you didn't shoot Sonia Massey. What's your point? You're still downplaying your role in hiring him, your role in not vetting his criminal background and work history. So that's a problem for many. And nobody's going to trust you when you are willingly saying these things to the public. So what? So what? I hired him. Big deal. So what? He had a DUI. So what? He got discharged from the Army for doing something. So what? So guess what? That's what the citizens are saying. So what? We don't want you as a sheriff. So what? It's tit for tat. Sheriff, he wants to say Grayson. Whew. Sheriff Campbell, Jack Campbell, will leave this position August 31st, 2024, in case you're curious. He feels like the political climate was impossible for him to do his job effectively. Well, some would say, well, if you don't give a damn, what difference does it make? What the governor said, what the community is saying. So basically you're saying you left the job because you're being threatened, your family and other deputies. Well, the other deputies, they're not quitting their job. So will we hear that other deputies are quitting because they're worrying about being threatened? We wait and see. Thank you for joining me. Fox 32 is that source of information. Wow. What they say, enemies, people like this, who needs enemies? Jesus Christ, you got that right. What else we have here? All right, trying to pick the best information. There's also another video that's been released pertaining to the booking of Sean Grayson. Feel free to check out the content. And mainly it's just the guys sitting around a small office chitter-chattering with him while being booked. And the interesting part of this commentary is that Grayson thought he was being held, I guess, in the jail for his safety. Well, that doesn't make any sense because I don't even know how to word this. How are you held and being arrested at the same time? Doesn't make any sense. Hello, Stella. Thank you for joining me. Hello, Kat. Hello, Cynthia. No, you weren't held to keep you safe. If that's the case, they're going to put you in a safe house. You were being arrested. And when they came to get you, you had to have known you were being arrested because they would have to serve you with a warrant. Hello, Sean, how are you? Sorry to do this, but we have a warrant for your arrest. So a warrant would not be to keep you safe. So I don't understand the commentary of him being in the jail saying, I'm just here because They want to keep me safe. That makes no sense. I'll play a little bit of this nonsense.
So we just recently went to the day where I didn't make this up, of course, online. We shut it down. You did shut it down? Yeah. Okay. Yes. We called our IT and just said, "Oh, we're shut for 24 hours." And we said it was a big deal. So. How could you put it in? Don't do anything. How could you put it on 10 volt? Set up with the voltage charger, then you put another 10 volt. What do we do now? Like we also really got the system. Yeah, we'll show. Yeah, we just got a new candidate. That's the whole problem. I don't know. I haven't seen it. The tab thing. I didn't look at it online, but I know it's on the website, right? Or something. I mean, you got to be somewhat savvy to be able to get there. I mean, we have people here all the time that their spouses, like, they'll have other county bolts and all that's on there. If they were able to look, they would see that. If they're not leaving, and they're all making arrangements. No one knows it's here except for our admin. So I don't see much problem with being here. You know, if it's hopefully we're thinking it's a short term. Yeah, you should might go to judge tomorrow.
So basically, they say they think if they're short term. I'm not getting ready to get into all that because it's making my head hurt. That source is KSDK News 5. So basically, he thought he was just there visiting, I guess, which makes no sense because if you got served a warrant, why would you be visiting the jail if you got served a warrant? A warrant is for your arrest. I don't know. The thing that I found most poignant about the video content is he was pacing back and forth inside the jail. That's because he was worried about himself being in there. Of course. You shot this lady 3 times, and now you're in jail. You're wondering when you're going to get out. And now it's a month later, you're still in there. You got these lawyers wrangling on your behalf, and the judge ain't going. But when you watch the video, you'll see him pacing back and forth. 1 minute he's sitting up, lying down, back up, walking across the short little cell, putting his arms on the bars, looking out into space. Nobody to talk to. And yes, the people who were working, these men, were very, I don't want to put words into their mouths, but they seem friendly. Let's say that. They seem very friendly. And boy, did people have some not so nice comments below the video. Let's read some of the comments below the video. He's being treated like he's the victim. Well, I have never, ever seen a prisoner treated with so much respect. Did Sonya Massey get that kind of treatment and respect that evening? Look at that. Someone says, do you all notice that none of the cop gangs feel threatened with the criminal hands being uncuffed? That's true. Very interesting. You're right, because you're supposed to have handcuffs on at some point. But usually they take them off, when you get in. Is there some kind of weird requirement to be morbidly obese to work for this place? Oh, Lord have mercy. Some of the deputies had a little weight on them. Somebody says, what the hell? This guy murdered an innocent woman and gets treated like this? Wow, the corruption is real. Now, this is the Menard Sheriff's Department. This is not Sangamon County where he's being held and where he was originally booked. Let me say that. Menard Sheriff Department has custody of Sean Grayson. Somebody says, stop pacing around and get used to your space. You will be there a long, long time. Sierra says, his words are cold, empty, no real effort to save her life, no attempt to comfort her as she passes. Shooting her was nothing to him. None of these pig care about her or the pain her family's going through. These guys deserve no respect. Somebody says under her comment, the only thing he felt was recoil. This is crazy. Why he doesn't have on handcuffs? Protect and serve. This is a big joke. Rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Another person says, does everyone get this treatment? I think not. He just said his boss said he was arrested for his own protection, and I believe him. Somebody replied, no, one can run nor hide from the wrath of God. Wow. Somebody says, thought he had court today. He was so convinced here in this video that he'd be let out ASAP, laugh out loud. I wish I could have seen the look on his face when the judge said no bond. Edit. Laughing my A off, Xfinity. He did have court again today, and the judge said no bond again. That was 23 hours ago. Let's read you the set information pertaining to the latest updates of Sheriff Campbell and Sean Grayson. New development pertaining to the health of Sean Grayson, if you have not heard. NBC News is the source. The former Illinois deputy who fatally shot Sonia Massey last month will remain jailed. Judge ruled Friday, rejecting his request to be released to accommodate his medical needs, which include treatment for colon cancer. You have now heard it live here on the Vault XL that he is now sick with colon cancer. So when did he get a diagnosis of colon cancer? I'm curious. Where was he receiving his treatments before shooting Sonia Massey? Let's chop that up later on. Also Friday, amid mounting pressure, Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell announced he would retire August 31st, saying it had become clear that he could not continue effectively in his role. The judge overseeing the case of Sean Grayson, the former Sangamon County Sheriff's deputy charged with first-degree murder in the fatal shooting of Massey in her Springfield home on July 6, ruled Friday that electronic monitoring did not sufficiently protect the community from Grayson. Ryan M. Cadigan, presiding circuit judge of Sangamon County, described that danger as a real and present threat. More than 20 members of Massey's family attended the hearing and briefly applauded the decision, which prompted the judge to ask for no interruptions. Grayson's attorneys had asked the judge in a motion filed last month in the 7th Judicial Circuit Court in Sangamon County to reconsider his decision to deny Grayson pretrial release. The motion said that Menard County Jail, where Grayson is being detained, does not have the medical staff with the capacity to provide necessary care. Grayson's attorney, Mark Wyckoff, argued Friday that detention decisions are individualized and that it would not be novel or unprecedented to release Grayson. The threat has been mitigated by the fact he is no longer working in his official capacity, Wyckoff said, which Sangamon County Assistant State's Attorney Mary Beth Rogers disagreed with when she addressed the court. Wyckoff asked the judge not to allow bias, prejudice, or public opinion to influence his decision. In explaining his decision, Cadigan said Grayson poses a real and present threat to the community that is not mitigated by the fact that he is no longer a deputy or by his medical condition. Cadigan told Grayson that he was sorry to hear about his cancer and encouraged him to continue to communicate his medical needs to the jail staff, who he said are equipped to handle many types of medical conditions. Grayson's attorneys had said in the motion that all firearms weapons had been removed from his home, that he did not have access to any weapons through the sheriff's office since he had been fired, and that there was no reason to believe he would have contact with Massey's family or engage in violence upon release. It also noted that Grayson, who was to be married in October, had a low score on a pretrial risk assessment. Grayson appeared virtually for the hearing. Well, that same assessment is probably the same assessment he got when he decided to train for a deputy. And we've talked about this before on this network about questionnaires, surveys. They mean nothing because you know to answer the question in the response that is expected from society. Such as, you see your coworker stealing. Do you A, B, C, or D? You get where I'm going. A says turn them in. B says don't say nothing. Well, you know to choose A. So this assessment is no different than how he became a deputy in the first place. Once again, Grayson appeared virtually for this hearing. At his arraignment last month, a judge granted the prosecution's request that Grayson remain in custody. The judge said his comments before and after the shooting, including disparaging remarks he made about Massey and directing another deputy not to render aid, are so out of bounds of societal norms that it suggests that there's no condition that would be sufficient. Very interesting. So the judge is saying, well, I'm listening to what he said after shooting her. Hey, don't go get the kid. Hey, don't help her. Headshot. She's gone. Then he called her a bitch, crazy bitch, walking out. Never went over to check on her. Other guys, the one rendering aid. So he was done with her after he shot her. So a judge has listened to this video, this commentary from the body cam, and feels like you are a threat to society. That whether you had access to guns or not, it's your attitude. It's your disposition, Mr. Grayson, that one got you in there in the first place, got you to be detained. And hell no, I'm not letting you out. Okay, now. All right. So, simply no longer working as a police officer or home confinement or electronic monitoring or any other conditions that are oftentimes used cannot sufficiently mitigate the threat of someone who acted in this way, the judge said. On Friday, Campbell, the sheriff, heeded calls from Massey's family and others across the state who had urged him to step down. I have committed to making changes to our standards and collaborating with other units of the government on ways to prevent incidents like this in the future, he said in a statement. The one person truly responsible for this act is in jail, and I believe justice will be served through the legal process. Despite these efforts, some in our community want me to pay the price for that person's actions, even threatening that I pay that price with my life, my family's lives, or the lives of my deputies, he also said. We will only preserve together as a community if we turn down the temperature and resolve to do better. We must honor the life of Sonya Massey by ensuring that no one else falls victim to such tragic and senseless action. That has been my sincere mission since that fateful day. Has it? Has it been your mission, Mr. Campbell? Some would disagree because your interviews tell a different story. You have downplayed hiring Mr. Grayson. You feel like there's nothing you could have done differently. So that starts right there at home, your playhouse. You have done nothing to make the situation better since the murder of this woman. And your rhetoric and your interviews have shown why you don't need to be the sheriff. And what's scary is that you have been the sheriff 2 times, as you gladly told an interviewer. Oh, they voted me 2 times, basically saying through thick and thin, I still was voted in. Well, were you voted in when somebody else got brutally murdered by a deputy? I think they have one more incident up there. Sonya's cousin has been murdered, a small child, if I'm not mistaken. They're also related to one another. But the point we're making is how many people have been gunned down in their home in your 2 time of being elected as a sheriff? I'll wait. Through thick and thin, of course. My sincere mission since that fateful day. I disagree. He said his health, as well as that of his family, the sheriff's office, and community, has to be my priority. Massey called 911 to report a suspected prowler. Early on the morning of July 6th, Grayson and another deputy who has not been publicly identified responded. The encounter ended with Grayson shooting Massey in the head. He said in a field report released this week that he believed Massey intended deadly harm when she told him and the other deputy, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, as she stood near a pot of hot liquid. I interpreted this to mean she was going to kill me, Grayson also said in the report, which was written 3 days after the shooting. He said that if Massey later threw, he said that Massey later threw boiling hot water toward him. At the time she was shot, Massey was blocked from view of the body camera video released by the Illinois State Police, which conducted an independent investigation. Campbell and prosecutors have said the use of force was not justified. Grayson is 6'3", 228 pounds. Massey was 5'4", 112 pounds, according to her autopsy report. After shooting Massey, Grayson discouraged the other deputy from rendering aid, citing the severity of her injury, according to body camera video. The deputy still rendered aid and stayed with Massey until medical help arrived, prosecutors have said. On July 17th, Grayson was fired from the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office, where he had been employed since May 2023. He has pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder, aggravated battery with a firearm, and official misconduct. In a jail booking video obtained by NBC Chicago through a public records request, Grayson talks with deputies from the Sangamon and Menard County Sheriff's offices. Grayson was being booked into the Menard County Jail when it was recorded. In the video, Grayson says he thinks he will be released and that he was in custody for his own safety. Campbell has said that the department failed Massey and that Grayson had been properly trained on how to de-escalate the situation. But on Wednesday, after Governor J.B. Pritzker and the state's lieutenant governor said Campbell had failed at his job and should resign, Campbell said he would not. Campbell had said that calls for his resignation were politically motivated. Campbell is a Republican and had been sheriff since 2018. Pritzker has expressed similar concerns to those of Massey's family, who have questioned how Grayson was allowed to work in the Sangamon County given the contents of his disciplinary file from the Logan County Sheriff's Office, where he worked immediately before Sangamon County. Campbell previously told NBC News he was not aware of those documented issues and defended Grayson's hiring. Grayson has been faulted for disobeying an order to halt a high-speed chase that ended in him striking a deer and for violating department policy, according to a disciplinary report in his personnel file from Logan County, which also shows that he had been reprimanded over inaccuracies in his police reports, among other things. Massey's killing has drawn national attention and protests over the killing of Black people in their homes by police. NBCnews.com is the source. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining. So here is the latest news. Sheriff Campbell will be leaving his post August 31st. He feels like he cannot work effectively as a sheriff under the current political climate. But yet he was the same one to say he wasn't going to leave. He felt like he could do the job. He was the best person for the job. His deputies told him he was the best person for the job. They didn't want to see him leave. He also claims that he's been threatened, deputies threatened, family threatened. How interesting. Now everybody's threatening him. Probably have gotten threats. I'm not here to say that he hasn't been. And as I said before at the beginning of this live stream, I do not condone threatening the sheriff or deputies because that was a one-man action on that fateful morning. But the point still remains. The sheriff is the one who hired him, and he does not seem to care about his past negative criminal record and work history, and that's a problem. Because if you do it once, you'll do it again. And as far as him getting with other agencies to see what they could do different, I don't even understand that. You don't even want to check a fucking background. So what are you going to prove by meeting with another agency? The other agencies don't. It makes no sense. What are the other agencies going to help you do at your sheriff's department different? What does another agency have to do with how you hire your deputies? Nothing. No, you all didn't do due diligence. You didn't call to ask for his work record. That's on you. That's nothing to do with another agency, state police, the governor, the butcher. They have nothing to do with that. You took him at face value that he worked for these places, and you never called to verify. And I won't doubt you probably did call. Got negative commentary and just said the hell with it. We'll hire him anyway because we need them. We need some people. Who's to say? Because I don't know if I can believe anything that comes out of the mouth of Sheriff Campbell at this point. Why should I? You've downplayed this murder. You've downplayed the hiring process of Grayson. So as I said before, you can't speak highly of Miss Sonia if you are condoning the vetting process of Mr. Grayson. They don't go hand in hand. Because you're contradicting, saying, we failed her, we're sorry for her loss, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I'm okay with hiring Grayson. Hey, I did what I was supposed to do. Hey, it ain't my fault they didn't let me know he had a negative record. That's bullshit. It's not the responsibility of the job. Because if you didn't request, how do they know where he's going to find work? It's not their job to care. He applied to your sheriff's department. You should have looked at his work record on the application and sent in a request for his work history and waited for a response from whomever. Hey, call me directly. I need to know about this kid. what he got going on, what he had going on. And the fact that you think it's no big deal to have a DUI times 2 as a deputy, that tells me you don't have good judgment either for a sheriff. So my thing is DUIs, what else? Rape, sodomy, child molestation. What else would you condone of a deputy? Stay woke, everybody. Now, somebody might say, well, Queen, drinking and driving is not the same as molesting a kid. Maybe not. But what I'm saying is, where do you draw the line? Because what is that old saying? A thief and a liar don't make a murderer, but a murderer is usually a thief and a liar. Checkmate. Say it again, Queen. A thief and a liar don't make a murderer, but a murderer usually is a thief and a liar. Ding. Lying on reports. Uh-oh, come on with it, Queen. They don't hear you. He had a habit of that at Logan County. Even being questioned. You don't really believe what you wrote here, do you, Sean? Do you know how embarrassing that would be for somebody to repeat that back to me as a human being? To say, hey, Queen, what you wrote here, do you really believe what you wrote here is factual? Did you really see this happen? What are you supposed to say when somebody confronts you with that type of information? Oh, yeah, I did see it. I swear. No, you didn't. So they're going to have to go back in every case he ever worked on and investigated, probably the Department of Justice. Bet nobody thought about that. Any traffic stop arrests that Sean Grayson exacted in his short 4 years in law enforcement needs to be looked into. And he was showing you that something was wrong with him in lying in his reports, not following orders to stop a high-speed chase, wanting to follow in behind some woman because she was doing something suspicious in her car. He ends up hitting a deer. He turned off his lights. So what are you, speeding down a highway in the dark? I don't understand. Or he didn't have on his caution lights or whatever they were saying. Hell, did he even have lights on? I don't know. Just a rogue cop. Rogue individual. And what people don't seem to understand is this 9 times out of 10 is who Sean is without a uniform. Meaning he was this way before, because you don't wake up at 26 years of age or so and become a liar. Okay? 26, 25, whatever the age is, he decided to train for the academy. You are a liar beforehand. That's the point. The fact he was messing around with these people in the jail, inappropriate behavior with the woman, allegations from her. Then she says her boyfriend, he went and visited him. It was all of his business, talking about her, what she was doing in the street, which makes no sense to me. He acts like he's a damn DEA agent. Undercover cop. That's some shit that an undercover cop would be doing. You're just a patrol cop. What do you care about this guy and girl, what they had going on? So that makes me wonder, really, who is he? He's messy. He's a messy boots. A messy kid. Taking the badge and the gun and using it to his own benefit to boost his ego. And that is the reason why most people want to go into law enforcement, the military. It's to boost their ego. They are insecure individuals wanting to be in an authoritative position. You've seen this so many times with rogue individuals who become mass killers, mass murderers. What is the one thing you always hear? Oh, he wanted to be a security officer. Oh, he couldn't do nothing but a security officer. Couldn't become a cop. How many times have we seen this with people who end up murdering people? They always wanted to, the males, be a cop, but couldn't pass the test, this and this. So they end up doing a security job. He ended up having a security job at a hospital. See, The foundation was there all along. Nobody saw the signs. Because you feel like, well, it's no big deal. He wanted to be in security or was in the military, but he was laying out the foundation. Nobody saw the signs. Or did somebody see him? And naturally, nothing you could do because he's grown. His father was in the military, Navy SEALs. So he wanted to probably walk in the shoes of his father, late father, but couldn't measure up. And I think Sean knew that. Now you have to ask, what type of parents did he have? Because this ego trip he was on comes from somewhere. So that's where we go into the belly of the beast. Who raised him? How did they treat him growing up? Strict parents? Lenient parents? Other siblings? Did he get along with other siblings? Get along with his parents? Did they treat him fair? And the young lady who he's engaged to, where does she stand now, seeing that he's not going to be getting out of jail? Judge feels like he's a threat to society, with or without a badge, gun. She's going to hold on, pray that he gets out. And for his sake, he better pray he gets a quick trial, because trials can go on for years before actually getting a due date. And I'm sure that's his fear. I don't want to sit in here another year waiting for trial. Sitting here another 2 years waiting for trial. I won't make it. This is why you have to think before acting. Nobody told you to shoot her. Nobody told you to shoot her 3 times. Miss Massey. That was a choice. That was a sound choice. The other deputy, number 2, who has not been named, has returned to work, for those who did not know this. But he is not on patrol. When will that deputy go back on patrol? We will see. Those are the latest developments. Sheriff Campbell will leave his position as sheriff August 31st. Mr. Grayson will continue to be held in the Menard County Jail. He alleges he is being treated for colon cancer, has cancer. Curious to how long he's had cancer, how long he's known he's had cancer. Will they move him to another jail so he can get proper medical? Because his lawyers feel like he needs to go to another jail to get appropriate medical. But the judge feels like right there, he should be able to assess what he needs for his care. How is he being treated there by the other deputies? They seem kind of cordial to him when he's being booked. I doubt that they're mistreating him, because some of them probably felt like, he stood his ground and did what he was supposed to do. They may never tell it publicly. And I can say all the deputies in the room were white. I didn't see one black or Hispanic deputy in that small room with him when he was being booked. Very interesting information. Those are the set updates pertaining to Sheriff Campbell and Sean Grayson. Sheriff will be leaving his post as sheriff August 31st. Mr. Grayson is being treated for cancer, says he has colon cancer, needs to get out of there, wanted to get out for pretrial release a month ago, denied, wants to be moving at jail, I guess to go to another jail or go home. Can't go home. No bail, no bond. Judge feels like he's a threat to the community. His attitude towards Miss Massey after murdering her was out of the norm of society, not wanting to render her aid. His attitude towards her and his commentary are the reasons he is still behind bars and not released, either pretrial release and or ankle monitor, says the judge. Those are my updates. You all have a wonderful weekend. Please stay hydrated. Still warm in a lot of places. Once again, my 2 weekend suggestions are What Comes Around, now free on Hulu, and FEMME, FEMME. 2 good movies. I highly recommend them both. If you don't have Hulu, you'll have to try to figure out some type of way to watch them on another streaming app. But they are very good movies. What comes around will hit you in the stomach. It is a blow. I always like to read up on the movies in Google to get a gist of what the movies are about. And I knew something was up with the movie when they were talking about the narrative. So as I was watching the movie, I kept saying, what is it that I'm missing? Something's not right. What's wrong with this mother? And then I had kind of got a thought about something. Can't tell you what it is, and I don't want to spoil it for you. But I thought about it. All came to light during the movie. I think you all will thoroughly enjoy what comes around. It's a very interesting plot, and it's a well done movie. They went around and around the roses for a bit, but they got to the point. And Femme is a very good movie about homosexuality, those who are secretly in the closets and can't come to grips with who they are, and the ramifications for gay bashing and revenge. Very good movie. Please check them both out. They're now free on the Hulu app. Thank you for following this network, your continued support. God bless all of you. Thank you all in the chat. Susan, Cynthia, Kat, Stella, One Step, Danielle, Perspective. Thank you all so much for following this network. And once again, I will be bringing you more content. Haven't been feeling well the past couple of days, just kind of sluggish. So I'm kind of slow putting out content and doing my shorts, because I've got a few shorts to put out, plus news break. I'm behind on putting content out on the news break app as well, because I'm sure those people over there are looking forward to me bringing some new updates. So I've got to get some more updates out on both networks. So please follow me on Newsbreak. That is the other app that I'm on where I share content. I don't have many posts yet, but I do comment a lot on other people's articles. So if you follow the Vault Excel over there, you'll see where I comment on different stories around, the United States and abroad. So I recommend you downloading the app, because you can get information in your own jurisdiction of news stories and developments in your area. All right, everybody, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for your time. You have been listening to the Vault Excel. Once again, prayers for the Massey family. Thank you.